For a while, the internet was kept under wraps by the government and was not used by a majority of the population.
That begs the question. How did the development of the internet impact military communication and then later on impact civilian communication?
And to answer this question, we need to look at the overall development of the internet and how it worked. This includes packet switching.
The internet changed everything, so it's important to see what innovations were made to make it possible. The main innovation that allowed the creation of the internet was packet switching. Packet switching is a method of transferring information. Why is it so important? Well, let's first take a look at the old technology that it replaced, circuit switching. Circuit switching was used in old telephone systems and was the reason that long-distance phone calls used to cost more. Unlike prior methods of transferring data like circuit switching, packet switching allows for more bandwidth to be utilized. Now let me show you an example of how these two technologies work. Let's first look at the old technology of circuit switching. I am the red shirt man trying to send a message, these series of colors, to the green shirt man. With a circuit switching network, we must reserve ourselves a line in which our data can go through. When you reserve a line, you're essentially renting it. That's why long-distance phone calls used to cost more, because you had to rent a longer line. Okay, now that we reserved ourselves a line, we can just send the colored blocks in order across the line to our green-shirted friend over there. Alright, cool. Now a green shirt guy has our desired message in order. That was the old method, circuit switching. Now let's look at the method that made the internet possible, packet switching. Unlike circuit switching, there's no need to reserve a line, but we do have to label the data in order to group it into packets. Since we labeled the data, we can just send it over the network without worrying about having it stay in order. Alright, green shirt guy has the data, so all he needs to do is rearrange it in the correct order to get red shirt guy's message. In the paper, The Evolution of Packet Switching, by Dr. Lawrence G. Roberts, he states, "The packet switching approach is 3 to 100 times more effective than pre-allocated techniques in reducing the wastage of available transmission bandwidth resources." This shows that packet switching was a big leap forward for data transmission. Let's next talk about IP addresses. IP addresses are part of the packet switching system. They are the address to your computer. Every packet also saves the IP address of the sender and the receiver, so the routers can tell where it is from and where it is going. Originally, this innovative technology was developed with funding from the military.
Packet switching is an incredible technology, and to understand its implications we have to understand the project that created it, the ARPANET project. The forms of communication that existed in the early 20th century, such as radio, telephone, and fax machine, all used circuit switching, which is dedicating one electronic connection from end to end. It proved to be extremely inefficient, as many phone calls would have a significant amount of dead time during conversation, which wasted time and resources. This is where the ARPANET project came in. ARPA was the Advanced Research Projects Agency, which was responsible for just that, the development of advanced technologies, which was established by Eisenhower in response to the Sputnik launch in 1957. In February 1966, Bob Taylor successfully convinced ARPA to fund a project that would build a form of wireless data transmission. The main idea behind packet switching was based on circuit switching's biggest weaknesses. He wanted to create a system where, when a line is not being used, its resources can be reallocated to a different user. He had a vision. With little to no planning, Bob Taylor and his team used packet switching technology created by Paul Baran and set up nodes at UCLA and Stanford Research Institute, and proceeded to send signals to spell login. After sending the L,
You get the L? The answer was got the L.
and the O,
He typed the O. You get the O? Got the O. You type the G. You get the G? Wacko.
the system crashed.
The system crashed. This machine went down. So the very first message on the internet ever was low, as in lo and behold.
But also proved to the developers that their technology was undoubtedly going to work. After that, they proceeded to develop the technology and incorporated more and more nodes. ARPA's work undoubtedly paved the way for the development of the internet and revolutionized the world. That begs the question. How did the development of the internet impact military communication and then later on impact civilian communication?
Well, I am glad you asked that. As everyone knows, civilian communication was severely impacted. Just look around. You most likely have a phone in your pocket or a smartwatch. Heck, you're probably watching this on a computer or mobile device right now. So, it is safe to say that yes, the internet impacted civilian communication severely. But what about right after the internet became public? Well, actually, not much public usage happened. However, a couple years after ARPANET was shut down, two men working at the corporation known as CERN created what is known today as the World Wide Web. These two men are named Tim Berners-Lee and Robert Kaliau, the former of which being the most attributed to its creation. Once the invention of the World Wide Web became public, it caught on like wildfire. All of a sudden, corporations all over the world adopted this system in order to communicate with suppliers and consumers alike. Online schooling was even considered as a possible outcome of the World Wide Web, which is ironic considering where we are now. In fact, an essay by the High School Journal brought up the possibilities of online schooling, the benefits, and where it might lead in the quote-unquote not-too-distant future. And that's not all either. According to Doug Guthrie, in his journal article titled A Sociological Perspective on the Use of Technology, the Adoption of the Internet Technology in U.S. Organizations, published in 1999, he states that, quote, since 1969, when there were a total of 4 internet hosts, the number has grown to 12,881,000 throughout the world. He also stated that, quote, in 1996, for the full sample of organizations, around 42% reported using the World Wide Web, while around 22% had a web page. Keep in mind that this was only a few years after the creation of the internet, and he theorized that the number of corporations who used the World Wide Web would only go up. Soon after the popularization of the internet in the 1990s, massive tech conglomerates such as Google, Amazon, and Yahoo were all developed, allowing for even more communication between individuals. Some of the first social media apps came into fruition in the late 1990s, allowing for speedier communication between people. All of this information combined leads to the conclusion that the internet, while a colossal innovation for the military, arguably had an even greater impact for civilian technology, especially due to the quick speed and accessibility of the internet.